Hi everyone, it's Suzanne here. Today I'm going to share with you my project for the National Scrapbook Day Challenge with the kit from Auntie Vera's Scrap and Craft. So I'm very lucky to own this beautiful die by sizzix, the passport die that's done by Eileen Hull, that makes a gorgeous little album, and I'm going to show you how we can make something that's very, very similar without any dies at all. So what I'm going to be using to construct the album is this board that I get from Daiso. So this board is in a pack of 3, and it comes in craft, a chocolate and a moss colour, and it is 350 GSM and very, very strong. I'm also going to be using the beautiful Echo Park papers that are in the May kit from Auntie Vera. Okay, so what I've done already is cut some pages to go on the inside of the album. So there you can see I've got 3 that I've already rounded the corners and scored down the middle. So these pages for inside the album are 6.5 by 4 6/8, and then you're going to score it at 3 1/4 and round the corners off with your you can use your envelope punch or whatever. Here I'm just scoring it at 3 1/4, which is halfway. Now this board is really quite strong, so you have to press pretty hard, and then just take the round your corners off. The next part we're going to do is the front and back cover. So these are both the same, 3.5 wide and 5 down, and you're just going to take the corners off one side because that back side is going to have the spine over it. And here's the spine, it's 2.5 by 5, and it needs to be scored in just 2 places. So it needs to be scored at 5/8 of an inch and 1 7/8 of an inch. Now for the spine we need to do some marking. So going down your spine you need to mark at 1 inch, 2.5 inches and 4 inches. So all the way across that middle section, and then each 1/4 of an inch across that spine we're going to put a mark. These are where the holes are going to go. For the album pages we're going to be marking 3 places as well. So your first mark needs to go at 7/8 of an inch, then 2 3/8 of an inch, and then 3 7/8 of an inch. Or an easy way to do it is find the middle of your page, mark that, and then 1.5 inches either side, and that will be exactly the same. So now I'm just using an awl to put the holes into the spine. So if you don't have an awl, you can use a large needle or any other sharp implement just to poke the hole. You don't want to make the holes too big. You just need it big enough to thread some cotton through them. So you're going to be making 4 holes on each of those lines, each of them 1/4 of an inch apart. Now we're moving on to each of the booklets, and the booklets are going to have the 3 holes into the center there, so that it's going to match up with those holes that are in the spine. So here you'll see that the holes in your booklets are going to match up perfectly with the holes that are in the spine, and that's how we're going to sew those little pages into our album. Okay, so now moved on to cutting the decorative paper that is going to be on the front and back cover. So I've chosen the nice brown for the outside cover and the white flowery one for the inside of the cover, and I chose to just cut my paper a little smaller for the cover, just to leave that little frame of the craft card. I kind of like that look for the cover. The inside pages though, I cut the exact size for each page, but for the width I've just taken off 1/8 of an inch because you don't want it to go right up to that fold line, otherwise it might crease up your paper. So here I'm just attaching those. That's the inside cover. So I think I just took off 1/8 of an inch so that it just gives that little frame. And all of these papers have also been, I've used Vintage Photo Distress ink just on the edges to take away the white edges. It just makes your project look more finished if you do that. Okay, so you can see I've cut some paper for the inside pages, and they are, like I said before, the same size as the page, so 4 6/8 inches down, and I've just taken off 1/8 of an inch from the width, so there that measures 3 1/8, and then I have rounded those corners, and I've just done that for each page and then used the Vintage Photo Distress ink. Okay, so there you can see the covered front and back, and there's all of the inside pages done. The next part is covering this spine. I'm just creasing it there, just make sure that it's I didn't really want it to be folded flat. It doesn't need to do that. So here I'm just putting the glue on what's going to be the outside of the spine. So I want plenty of glue on that and pop it down. Now the spine parts I have cut because I don't use one piece of paper, because often if you do that you'll split the paper when you go to fold it. So I cut 3 separate pieces for the spine, and I've again just taken off a small margin, so it's going to be 4 7/8 inches long by whatever width the part that you're covering, just minus a little bit, just to give that little border. So once that has dried, and you do need to let it dry, you need to turn it back over so that you can see those the holes, and re-poke them again, because now the paper's covering it. So you need to do that before you glue on the inside cover, otherwise you're not going to know where the holes are. So just do that to each of the holes again. So once you've done the holes on the outside, you're going to cover the inside, and didn't really need to put these little side parts on because I completely forgot that that's going to be covered over anyway, but it doesn't hurt to put it on. So you can just put that middle strip on if you want to. You don't need those two side strips. You won't see them anyway. Once that has been put down, again, lots of glue on this piece because you're going to be poking the holes in it again once it has dried. Okay, so I'm just getting ready to poke the holes back through it again. So it's pretty simple. You just go through from the outside and poke those back in. But yeah, like I said before, make sure you let it all dry. Then just give it another crease, and it is time to glue the covers onto the spine. So on the inside there, so like I said, I didn't need to put that there, but anyway, cover that with glue. And for this part I really like to use really good glue, and then put your front or back cover, whichever one you want to do. Make sure you've give it a fold to make sure you've got it in the right place. So put it up 90 degrees and press it firmly. Make sure that it's on there. I get the bone folder in there and give it a good squash down. Okay, so you just do that to both the back and the front. Okay, so now it's time to sew in our pages. So I'm starting from the outside, and I go to the middle row of holes, and I go from the outside to the inside, and then do the same thing to the first insert. So it doesn't need to be all nice and pull tightly at this stage. Actually, it's easier to leave it all loose. So then I go up to the top hole and the same matching hole in your spine. So you need to get them lined up and pull them through. So this thread is some beautiful brown linen thread, so it's wonderful and strong, and it won't break. So you probably need something stronger than normal cotton. If you don't have any linen thread, use a couple of strands of cotton. So from the top hole you go right down to the bottom, and then you go back to the center. And when you come back to the center, that's when you're going to pull everything nice and tight. Okay, and so when you're now on the back, you need to make sure that the two threads, so the thread that was left when you started and your thread with the needle on, are on either side of the cotton on the back. I'm probably not explaining that very well, but you've got two strands of cotton coming out of the same hole. They need to be one on one side of the strand and one on the other, and then you're going to do double knots. So I always do 2 lots of double knots, one from one side and one from the other. So it's probably really hard to see, but it's really quite simple. Just start from the middle, from the outside, go through the spine and your booklet, go up to the top, go through and then down to the bottom, back to the inside, and then back out through the middle, right where you started, and you'll have your 2 threads there. Here I'm up to the last one, so in through the outside and then through the back of your booklet, holding the string on the outside of the book, through your booklet, and then through the spine, and then all the way down to the bottom of your spine, and then through the bottom of the booklet, and then back through the middle. So through your booklet, and then back out where you started. Make sure the cotton is on either side of the string, and tie some double knots. Okay, so now I'm moving on to decorating the little album, and I'm using the Me and My Big Idea pack that was in the kit from Auntie Vera. So it consisted of 72 pieces. There's 3x4 cards and 4x6 cards, and I'm just using them, and I did use a couple of punches. I've used no dies at all. I think I punched out a little butterfly and a little swirly thing, but the rest of it is all just the 3x4 cards, and some of the 4x6 I've cut bits of those off as well, and I did use a couple of the stickers from the Simple Stories pack that were in the kit as well. Some of the 3x4 cards I've trimmed down a little bit, but mostly I've left them how they were. Some I have trimmed, I've fussy cut them, so you can see there I've fussy cut a bit of a leafy part, and I cut a little fishtail banner, and here's the little butterfly that I punched out of some of the paper, and that's just going to be a little tuck spot in the corner around the edge so that it can go right in the corner of that page, and then I just apply glue along the edge so that things can be tucked into that one. Okay, so you can see those words there. It says weekend story. So that just comes off one of the 3x4 cards that were in the Me and My Big Ideas pack. So this next part I show you is going to be a flip part to my little album. So you need 3 of the 3x4 cards, and then I used a strip of paper about 1.5 inches by 4 inches for that hinge. I folded it in half. For the card that's going to be on your album page, you need to glue that hinge on the back of that card, and then with the right hand part of the hinge, you need to glue one of the cards either side of that hinge so that you don't see it. Okay, and then you're able to put 2 photographs on for that page. I've also done some other hinged pages that are from the top. So this little one, I made a little pocket. So for the little pocket, all you need to do is simply put a little bead of glue just on the edge there. Okay, and I've also done another little tuck spot on that left hand page. Okay, so this next page I'm showing you is going to be a top-loaded flip. So exactly the same kind of idea. This time you just want a hinge that's 3 inches long. So cut a piece 1.5 inches by 3 inches, fold it in half, glue your card that's going on the page on top of the hinge, and for the top part of the hinge, glue one of your pages either side. Make sure you've got your orientation right though. You don't want it to be upside down. So here you can see that I only apply glue to about the top third of that sentiment circle. That's because I leave it like that so that something can be tucked underneath that as well. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a quick flip through of all the pages. Okay, so now for the spine, I've decided I'm going to cover up my stitching. I've just cut a piece the same size as the spine and matted it with the paper and used my art glitter glue to put that on. And that's my finished album, apart from any decorations I add to the front. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you will have a go at making one. If you have any questions, just pop them in the description box below. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.